Time for a Soccer Down Here 1v1, and for this one, we head to our friends in Northwest Arkansas, who we know from a couple of different ways. They are our kindred spirits when it comes to our relationship with the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation and conversations that have happened there. But the reason that we're catching up with Chris Martinovic today is because as the co-founder of what used to be USL NWA,
USL Arkansas. Officially, yeah.
So USL Arkansas. I was going to say NWA, and I was going to make this wrestling reference with a belt and everything in the old days. With
the old rap band.
Yes. And so you go from that, you go from USL Arkansas. Yeah. Now you are Ozark United, and you are sporting the gear. For those that are watching on the video side of things, and he's got the scarf, and he's all dialed up ready. Chris, it's great to catch up with you, my friend. Congratulations.
John, appreciate it, man. Great to get to talk to you more than we have in the past, which has been over the phone and about multiple other topics, including the Marshall Islands and Northwest Arkansas. So bringing it all together today.
You got it. All right. So you were wearing the gear. You have the scarf. Yeah. You had the unveiling. I watched the breaking news across all of Northwest Arkansas where folks are diving into live shots. Has it sunk in that the name is actually there and you're that much closer to being out there on the field?
Yeah. Thanks again, John, for having us. And the brand is so important, right? It's so valuable, and fans are emotional about the brand and the story and the crest and what it means and the colors, right? More so than in most other American sports, right? So it's a little bit of our uniqueness to soccer, right? Who else is wearing scarves? Our mayor in Rogers, Greg Hines, always jokes around. He's like, man, soccer fans are crazy. It's like it's 98 degrees and these guys got scarves on. He's like, what is going on? They're so passionate. But it's just one of those soccerisms, right? Or footballisms, depends on where you are and what you call it. But the brand reveal was so exciting. It actually exceeded our expectations. We maybe thought we would draw 300 to 400 folks at Rendezvous Junction. Shout out to Mike Pearson. And they showed in masses. I mean, we think at some point we had close to 700 folks there. It was like a 25-minute wait to get a beer. I mean, we had a band, a DJ, face painter, tons of fans who are passionate soccer fans. But what surprised us the most was the non-soccer fans showed out. And that's so important. And that means we're striking a chord with the community more than just a soccer team. You know, the soccer fans are going to be part of it, but it's about how do you build this to be bigger than just soccer, right? It's more about what does this represent for the community and how do we represent Northwest Arkansas? And so our brand ended up doing that based on all the feedback that we've gotten. So we couldn't be more excited about Ozark United FC. And we spent a lot of time thinking, analyzing, asking, learning, questioning the community, probably about 8 to 9 months of process. Our partners in Stone Ward, our marketing agency, who did an amazing job. If anyone hasn't seen the hype video, it's about almost 3 minutes. And anyone who's seen it has said, Chris, this is like one of the most professional videos I have seen. And so that's Stone Ward, and they helped us through this whole process. But it's the community. They told us what they wanted this thing to be called, right? They told us the colors. They told us the crest. They told us. We just had to kind of pull it all together and present it and package it back out. So really exciting.
And at the same time, you mentioned this, but it's about bringing the casual fan and the casual person who might have heard, goes to the event. You want to draw them under the tent the first time, and you want them to keep coming back because you know that that soccer fan is going to continue to be there for you this whole ride. It's about bringing in others inside the tent.
Yeah, we live in what we affectionately or not so affectionately call a pro sports desert, right? We have a tremendously passionate sports fan database here. Razorback fans are known to be one of the best in the SEC, which is a big statement. I know probably SEC fans will disagree on that. But I said one of the best, right? Passionate, right? And they really love their state. They love their community. And so we are going to be different than Razorbacks, right? You could tell that by our brand color and crest, but we're going to kind of bring and link up into that passion and that passion for community and representing the state. So in our logo, we have nods to everything in there, right? And the Ozark was really a name that encompasses our region, not just a city and not a state, because the people from Northwest Arkansas really are proud of Northwest Arkansas. They're proud of the state and Arkansas, but it's really a unique place that is really fast growing and has some distinct features to it. Big part of that feature is the community of outdoor lovers and hiking and biking and mountain climbing and rivers and lakes and streams and activity. And so that's where this theme came from about the green and about the Ozark. And the united part really came from the community telling us, hey, we're always talking about what city we're from. Fayetteville, Rogers, Bentonville, Springdale. Those are the big four. There's a whole bunch of others. But this is the first time we kind of are bringing this thing together. And that's why, some people could say, well, United was easy. That's an easy soccer name, right? There's a lot of United and it's kind of blah. But it really meant something to this community to put that into the name and integrate it in. And when you get to the logo, it was about how do we bring representing our region? And that's where the color green really comes into play about the outdoors. The O is kind of this unique O shape that's unique in the sense of soccer logos. You don't see a lot of them this shape. You don't see many actually in the US at all that are this oval shape. And that's representing the Ozark Mountains. And then the Z integrates all the cities and how it's interwoven into the O. And then you get to the stripes, and that's about us growing and ascending in the future, which is what Northwest Arkansas is, because we move 39 people a day into our community, move into this region, right? And then the big nods towards the state, right? At the bottom, Diamond, which is the Diamond State. That's an unofficial name that we go by. Also the 25, we're the 25th state of the union. Pretty cool that we integrated that in. One of the most favorites is the bottom Latin phrase, regnant populis, which means the people rule. And like, how cool is that? Like our team is built from the people and the feedback in the community. And so that's kind of our nod and our thanks to the community and to the state for their input into this prop pit. So the regnant populace is one of the really cool things that a lot of people didn't know about. And now we're kind of bringing that and elevating that to discussion. So
you mentioned Latin. It's like I took 2 years of Latin in high school and 2 semesters in college. I was the 1 semester away from getting the artist baccalaureate instead of the science bachelor. Wow. So the regnant populus, I know. So it was like, yeah, I know exactly where this is coming from.
Yeah.
When it comes to day one to now, as you and I are talking, does it seem like it has been that long of a process to get from day one and you're going, yeah, this is a great idea. We should do this here. Yeah. And then you get to the release and you have more people than you anticipated. Does it seem like it was just yesterday, or does it seem like it was however long you want to encompass in that run to get to the announcement of everything?
Yeah, great question. You see me grinning, John, because man, it seems like a long time ago. And people that have gone through expansion process, starting something from scratch, even not talking about a club. If you're an entrepreneur and you're building a product and launching a business and starting something new, it's hard, right? It's a lot of work. It's a bunch of diversions and sideways and ups and downs through that process, right? And you just keep moving forward and building more community and building more support. But I started officially talking about this in 2019. Jake Edwards, former really good buddy of mine who was the president of USL for many, many years. Shout out to Jake at Huddersfield Town in the UK right now, heading up that organization. I made the pitch to him in 2019 that Northwest Arkansas was a potential pro sports community. And to be honest, as much of a friend of mine he is and a great supporter, he kind of said, like, is that really where, is it big enough? Is there enough momentum there to do it? And then I gave him the Northwest Arkansas sales pitch about our, Fortune 500 companies led by Walmart, Tyson, JB Hunt, Simmons Food. You have a university that's massive and growing. You have this 39 people a day moving into Northwest Arkansas. That number increases every single year. You have the articles about this is the next Austin. You have all of that. And you have a diverse population. We have about 19% Hispanic, plus several other ethnic groups that build our diverse kind of base that we have. And a ton of transplants, not just from metropolitan areas in the country, but out of country, because they come and work for these Fortune 500 companies. And so now, when you look at where Northwest Arkansas was, and for folks that don't know where Northwest Arkansas is, it's literally in the northwest corner of Arkansas, bordering Oklahoma, Missouri, and very unique place, very fast growing place, business oriented, but has this third or so of the Ozark mountain range sits in Northwest Arkansas. And so that's, there's probably about 50 businesses that refer to them as Ozark something in here. So it is a descriptor of our region. We just kind of were able to elevate that. But that's when it started in 2019. Started to get league traction. They visited, they saw it. That was the deal. Once they saw it and talked to some folks, they're like, this is where we want to go. I start doing it. And John, I don't know what I'm doing at the beginning, right? I mean, I have an idea. I have a lot of passion. I have a strong community. I know a lot of folks in the community. I can sell an idea, right? So I'm bringing people along, but I've never started a franchise. And then lo and behold, this fellow named Warren Smith is in Northwest Arkansas. And I end up having a coffee with him at Starbucks right during COVID. And Jake connects us. And I had no idea what he was doing in Northwest Arkansas. We met and I was like, what are you doing in Northwest Arkansas? And do you know about what I'm doing? And he's like, yeah, I know what you're doing. I think it's a great idea, which to me was pretty valuable based on Warren's experience of working and operating and starting and founding 3 to 4 different clubs, including minor league baseball with Sacramento River Cats, but then Sacramento Football Republic, Republic FC, and then San Diego Loyal. And before that, working with the Portland Timbers when they were USL pre-MLS. So you talk about somebody who has about the most experience in startups. That was Warren. And then he's been coming to Northwest Arkansas for 30 years. So it was like this godsend of somebody who knew the market and knew how to make this thing real. At the time, he was with the Loyal. He said, I can't help you every day, but I'll give you some pointers. Started focusing on land, right? Where are you going to play is a really big factor before you can do anything else. It all starts with that. And so that's what I started doing. And then fast forward a little bit, and Warren and I joined in a partnership once he steps away from the Loyal. And that was around maybe about 2 years ago at this point. And that was kind of when we actually formed USL Arkansas and started, I would say, really making headway into the community, right? Because now I have myself as a local leader, and then you have Warren as the guy that knows how to do this. And that's really, I think, where the project took off to the next level. And then lastly, I'll just say we hired a managing director. So we have one employee officially right now. And that's, employee number 1, Wes Harris. Shout out to our managing director. Wes Harris switched careers working in the CPG industry, kind of like a lot of us do in Northwest Arkansas, because everybody here is working for a manufacturer, not everybody, but a big portion is selling something to Walmart. That's what drove a lot of growth. Now there's a ton of other businesses and operations that are growing, but that was a core of it. And Wes was doing the similar thing that I had a background in. And he's joined us as employee number 1, and he'll get a plaque on top of the toilet when we get our office sorted. So shout out to Wes for all the work he does, but he does this full time. I'm doing it as much as I can. I have a full-time job. Warren is doing multiple other projects, but Wes is literally living, breathing, eating this every single day. So I'd be remiss if I didn't shout out and thanks for his effort.
What have you learned about yourself in this process?
That I'm resilient, which I knew, but you really test yourself in these kind of projects, I would say that's probably something I felt like I had good resiliency, but this big projects like this, where you need so much community support, political contacts, access to different folks, community engagement, fan support, business acumen, relationship building, relationship management. I mean, there's so many skills in the business world that have helped me to this, but perseverance, persistent, resiliency, I say those are words that are just so important, because while we have so much community support, and I don't want people to think that like this was some arduous task, because people really want this thing here, but it's different. We've never had besides minor league baseball, right? We've never had anything at a level where we've been an independent professional club that is really trying to engage in the community with local ownership group structures and driving community success and trying to win championships, not just develop players, although obviously that's what we want to do as well.
When you look at the next steps, and this varies from major domo to major domo and franchise to franchise, when I ask this question, there's always that to-do list. And I'm giving you no room to breathe here, considering that you've just unveiled everything involving Ozark United.
Yeah.
There's always the to-do list to get you to day 1 on the field, whether that is match number 1, league match number 1, however you want to phrase it, walking in the door. Where is the to-do list? And what do you think the next thing that you can cross off the to-do list is to get you that much closer to having a product on the field?
Yeah, it's we probably don't have enough time, John, to go through the to-do list.
That's why I'm asking.
You gave me a limited time. You told me when you're going to cut me off, John.
It's like that's why I said the next thing, because I know that dry erase board that's got the 6x8 it's off camera there in the office.
Oh man,
that has all of the squiggles and the lines, and it's like you got to add something in a different color to sit there and go, okay, no, I've got to do this to this.
Yeah.
Where is the to-do list? Let's take it one at a time.
Yeah. So listen, number one and always number one priority is just continue our fan and community engagement, right? we have almost 7,000 fans who have entered their name and information into our database and have engaged with us. So it's not just they're signing up. These are fans that have actually come and voted for the name, voted for the color, voted for the crest. Some of them became part of our listening sessions that gave us feedback on the building of the crest. Some of them even took it to the next level where they became part of the fan panel, which was where we shared final versions, final names, and got more feedback from the community. So the fan engagement, if you want to get involved, like go to ozarkunited.com, follow us on our Ozark United FC, social handles, and notice the difference, FC in the social handles, no FC in the .com. So just calling that out. But go and sign up, because that allows you to get updates and be engaged, super engaged. So that's always, and that's just more than just a database. Like that is us going to communities. Let's go into the events. We launched a U20 Youth Academy already. Like first time ever in Northwest Arkansas that we've had a team of all-stars be able to play together, right? John, you soccer, you sports. You're siloed by the organization that you're built upon and that your parents are focused on, and that's where your money goes. And sometimes you have uber rivals with the other organizations, and they might not talk, and there's all that nonsense that goes on, right?
Yep.
And man, we just want to cut through that, right? And so for the first time, we have this team represents 10 high schools in our region. How cool is that? Right. And the age is from like 16 to 20 almost. Right. So we got some young kids that are playing up that have the opportunity to do that and get better. But they're playing together and they're challenging each other. And so they get to play in the UPSL league. And sometimes they're playing against, young men. And it's phenomenal. It's really great that that's happening. So we're going to keep building that. We think developing and development academy is something we want to focus on down the road. We think we have a great opportunity for that. And then there's just the business side of things, right? Keep building out our ownership group, keep working on the stadium development. We have great land. We're also looking at some other options where we can, for our investment group and our ownership group, where we can diversify this investment a little bit more. When you think about one of the gaps that the community has told us, not just about pro sports, but also, hey, we also can't host a lot of events because we don't have the facilities to do that. And we travel every weekend. And I did it when I coached with the Comets for a nationally ranked, 2004 boys team. And we travel because we go play these tournaments because we couldn't host any of them. So all our economic dollars were going out to, great cities. And we love Kansas City and Memphis and St. Louis and Dallas and Oklahoma and Tulsa. But man, we could bring that here, right? So working on that as a kind of a tertiary add-on project to what we already have, right? Then you add the development academy in, then obviously branding was a big part of it. So we can check that off, but just constantly moving that nut forward. I think those are the big areas when I think about, what we want to do in the next several months. And our goal is March 2026. And I'll be honest, John, it's a really accelerated timeframe. Warren will tell you, he's worked on some of these projects for 3 to 5 years, is kind of from beginning to end. And I know I talked about 2019 as kind of starting it, but I also said I didn't really know what I was doing, right? So, in 2022 was kind of when we really started. And we only announced our intentions in July of 23 to the public, right? Announced that we had, property under rights and agreements. So we're still at the early stages of that. We want to make sure we launch this thing by March 2026. The other part that we're really spending a lot of time on now is the women's game. And so we're working on, we will have a Super League team as part of this. They will have their own branding process, by the way. So you could see Ozark United in a different color, or you could see a totally different name that comes out of this. And that's going to be what the community tells us again. We'll go through the same process, right, of what we just did. So the plan is that we have a women's team to follow the men's launch. That's how we're planning on managing that process. So really exciting, a lot to do, but I tell you, the community has, in a way, kind of exceeded my expectations this early still in the process, even though, I'm the co-founder of it and the guy, so obviously I'm bullish on it. But when we have 600 people, when we're on the front page of the local news, when the local media is reporting on it, talking about it, when I see people walking their dog in Bentonville Square and tagging us on social media with their, OZFC gear on, and so it's been a fun process.
All right, so you guys actually have your own podcast. You guys are already, what, 28 episodes deep into this thing too?
Oh, I think it's even more. Wes Harris will kill me for not knowing that number, but
11 billion episodes.
Yeah, something like, it's in between 28 and 11 billion. I just don't know the exact number.
But I mean, you guys,
Pitch to Pro, it's called.
Yeah, I mean,
Wes Harris has a podcast background. He actually used to run a company called The Business of Soccer back in the day. And he actually had some interviews during the FIFA scandal time, if you remember those. He was actually, interviewing some of the FIFA executives, had a publication that he was working with as well. And so he's really good at the podcast avenue. And we partner with a great local podcast company called Podcast Videos. And we have been able to communicate to the community via that channel as well and tell our story. The other part that's cool about it is we get to document our story, right? So now we have a history, and I'm a soccer purist historian, and I love that stuff. And so my good friend Tom McCabe is actually a U.S. soccer historian. That's actually his real title. He told me when I first started this thing, you got to figure out how to document this, even if you start writing it down. And I said, yeah. So I did, but man, it's a lot better when you can do it over a podcast and have it documented digitally like that. So it's another cool thing that maybe in 50 years, somebody will look back and go, man, who is this? Who are these guys, Chris and Wes, talking about this club, and who knows where we're at that point, but much even bigger than we are right now. That's for sure.
Well, and you also mentioned the game being bigger than it was even just a handful of years ago, where I steer into our Marshall Islands discussion briefly. I've, in the conversations, full disclosure, that we have had with everybody overseas there, with Lloyd and everybody that's attached to the program, we have been looking at them and what they've been able to grow, and it's been nothing short of cool. And so to have the involvement there in one of the areas of the United States that is one of the major pockets of the Marshallese people, right there with you there in Northwest Arkansas, right there in Four Corners, the other side of the border in Oklahoma and in Missouri there. It's a really cool connection that a lot of folks may not necessarily know about. And you're helping to grow the game, not just regionally or nationally, but internationally, because of what you guys are doing to help out just the grassroots level with a national team with the Marshall Islands.
It's so cool. I want to shout out to Lloyd and the team, what they've been able to do. And again, think about starting something that's massively overwhelming when you think about it, right? And then you gotta chunk it down into pieces and that's the way we kind of think about it as well. But we have what I believe is to be true, the largest population of Marshallese community outside the Marshall Islands in this area, which is pretty amazing when you think about it. And they're a community also that just hasn't, I don't want to use the word forgotten, but in our area, there's a lot of growth and a lot of momentum, but there hasn't been a lot of things that have been for them, right? You can kind of say that about our Hispanic community here as well, And so we have intentionally been trying to engage, and we got to keep doing more of that and better of that over time. But for example, we had a listening session that was specifically just for the Marshallese community. And so we literally were able to spend hours with them and listen to their feedback. And then we did 2 separate ones that were with the Hispanic Latin community here. And by the way, those were probably the most emotional and passionate ones that we got to actually get goosebumps and chills thinking about the feedback and stories that they told us about how this is going to change their lives, and how when they bring their family over from their country to come visit us, they're going to love to go and show off the professional soccer team that we have back at home. Now we have it here, right? That type of story, I'm sure you can imagine. So yeah, Marshallese story is pretty cool, with Lloyd trying to starting a I think the last federation, right? The last,
they're the last ones on this planet, the last nation on the planet that does not have a national team until now with what they're doing. And it's just
so awesome.
Yeah, it's very, very
We want to keep connecting with them. We want to keep engaging with them. We want to be able to host games down the road. I mean, there's so many possibilities once we get the kind of stadium structure. Then you have this opportunity to host multiple events across the community, not just these kind of games and soccer games and maybe European clubs and Latin American clubs and Mexican clubs, but we can also do a bunch of things that the community needs, right? Certain types of concerts that might not fit in other venues, community events, corporate events, charity events. We have the second largest Bikes, Booze, and Barbecue, the second largest one in America, I think, behind, I'm blanking out on the name, but a place up in the Dakotas, I think, has the largest, or Montana. And then we have the second largest biking event. So like you have events like this that are happening here more and more as our region grows, but we don't have the facilities necessarily to host all of these. And so we can be a part of that as well. And the community will tell us what they want the stadium to be. And they have already. We've gotten a lot of feedback on the things that we can do with the stadium. So
we want it to be 27,000 capacity. We want I know what you're sitting there going. I know, because I think the early drawings were like 5 to 7.
Yeah, 5,000 is kind of the starting point, and that's kind of a minimum of where you're required in the USL Championship level. We feel very confident that we're going to be above that level at some point very soon, right? But the worst thing you want to do is build a 20,000 seat stadium and not have a great atmosphere, right? Soccer is about passion and emotion and connectivity and being part of the game, right? So we're really, really, I mean, I have a European background. My family's from Croatia. So I've seen a lot of games in Europe, and most of these stadiums take out the mega teams, right? Yeah. Like everybody knows the mega teams, but go watch 95% of European soccer, and it's a 5,000 seat stadium where the local community comes out and they are literally on the field, and it's a passionate type of experience. And so we'd rather have that, and we're building it modular. So modular allows you the ability to expand and build and add on to it. And so we have the space to go up to, into the mid, call it 15-ish thousand if we ever needed to, right? But that's not how you want to start this thing. So,
all right, hit the promo for me before we get out of here. And you know that you have an open door policy with us as things continue to grow, but hit the promo.
Man, I mean, I think I kind of covered the promo, but I mean, listen, we want to hear from our community, and the best way to hear that is to go and get signed up. Go on our website, share it out to people, talk to other people, go tag us on social media. Just keep building this cool brand that is your brand. It's a community brand. It is not us. It's literally what the community came to us to help us develop. And all the feedback is that we've hit it out of the park. So let's keep kind of just moving that momentum forward. Show the rest of the country who might doubt Northwest Arkansas or Arkansas being a soccer community. We're showing that every single day with more and more transplants and folks just becoming passionate about the sport, and keep building it. It takes a village to do it. So we would not be where we are without the 6,700 fans that have gotten into our database. And I think we're going to be, by the time next year, we're going to approach that 10,000 number. And for our community our size, that's a tremendous amount of support. It may not sound like a big number to somebody who's, from a database standpoint, but there's bigger cities that have launched at this point in their path who had significantly less database. So we try to track, what those benchmarks are. And it's one metric of what engagement looks like, right? But it's just one piece of it.
OzarkUnited.com, but when you go onto the other social medias, you got to add the FC. It is Ozark United FC on the Facebooks. It is Ozark United FC on the 280-character app. It is Ozark United FC on the Gram, the IG, or the Insta, whatever the kids call it these days.
Love it.
And it is also Ozark United FC on the TikToks. And I ain't talking about no Timex neither. So
and YouTube as well, so you can watch the video there as well.
Yes, and
Pitch to Pro for Wes and our podcast.
So all 98 things, just choice D, all of the above, and you can catch up with everything going on there with Ozark United FC. Chris, my friend, it's great to see you. Great to catch up with you. Like I told you, anything else happens, just you know how to get in touch with me. You got an open door. We love to see things grow, and we can't wait to see things continue to roll with you. Catch up soon, my friend.
John, appreciate it. Take care, man. We'll be in touch.
All right. We're going to roll a close because that means we're done. That's how things are here at the network. We actually have fancy things like closes. We'll see you next time. And if, maybe if I hit, I don't know, the outro and end recording, then maybe we could do it.